Sangeeta Reddy is a global healthcare leader and a social entrepreneur who drives transformative change in the healthcare sector. She is the Joint Managing Director of Apollo Hospitals, and she has championed groundbreaking advancements in health technology from AI to telemedicine and launched impactful initiatives like Apollo Reach for rural healthcare access. She was the chair for G20 Empower initiative, as well as she is the head of WBA for BRICS. She's focused on advancing women's empowerment and sustainable development globally. Dr. Reddy's extensive work in policy reform and humanitarian efforts underscores her commitment to creating an inclusive healthcare ecosystem for India and beyond. Dr. Sagitha Reddy, we are honored to have you here today. Welcome to the second annual Digital Power of Women Conference.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
I want to start off our conversation by asking about your childhood. You grew up with three sisters and a very supportive mom and a dad. How did that play in you growing up and your values? How did that shape you?
I think that, growing up in a family that championed women's empowerment was definitely influential. And my father, Dr. Pratap Reddy, and my mother especially, they fostered an environment that really encouraged my sisters and me to pursue our dreams, to be confident, and to feel that we could do anything that we set our minds to do. But the environment in India was clearly not in favor of having daughters. And we really aimed to transform the narrative from poor Dr. Reddy, he has 4 daughters, to lucky Dr. Reddy, he has 4 daughters. And so I think it was kind of an unspoken pact amongst us. I think also witnessing the resilience and the dedication my father had, and the way he reached out to us to support him in his initiative Apollo. He gave us the respect, irrespective of race, of sex, of anything. In fact, he gave every individual that kind of respect. And this really has shaped my perspective and has instilled in me a belief in the potential of human beings itself. And especially, of course, the potential of women and the importance of creating opportunities for them and encouraging them and therefore facilitating them to thrive. And I think together, all of us, Shanali, everybody, we need to together create a world where women are really celebrated, where they're respected, and they're given a chance to reach their full potential.
Absolutely. And Dr. Reddy, I really love something you said about respect. Your dad giving that respect to you, you had the confidence to grow up and really pursue your dreams and think anything is possible. I grew up with the exact same upbringing from my dad, who said anything is possible. And that's probably why we are doing this conference. And when you look at even the leadership of women globally, you don't really see that many female leaders. So to see women like you, especially leading in healthcare, is so inspiring. And when we look at the G20 leadership, that's 18 male leaders to 2 female leaders, pretty much representing half of the population. And what India did last year, Dr. Reddy, and you were a part of it, was reserving 1/3 of parliament seats for women. How do you think this can be taken globally?
It's kind of a needle-moving initiative. And I believe that our Prime Minister Modi made a very profound statement when he said that it's not just women development that he seeks for India, but it's women-led development. And that, kind of subtle, but truly almost like a tectonic shift or a paradigm shift in the way you look at women and their roles, I think has really been quite significant. So emphasizing like this twofold approach of advocacy for policy reforms and tangible support for women in leadership and entrepreneurship. That is, I think, really the way that we need to move forward. So gathering leaders from across sectors, facilitating deep dialogues, strategic dialogues, showcasing effective practices, and keeping an eye on how we can scale these models in India and globally. I think that's really the imperative. I hope that India will create a ripple effect with this. And this will help empower women not only in G20 nations, but women worldwide and ensure their participation in decision making spaces. I also believe that it's very important for the younger generation to grow up watching their mothers in leadership and powerful positions, because that sets the mindset for young girls and for young boys. So that's equally important. So, this need to support women right now so that they can do this, I think, is significant, to set it as a scalable example and to sustain this project. I think, or this progress that we're making through this project, we need to ensure that women representation is really at the DNA of governance and businesses alike. So it's not just women participation in work or in government, it's the roles that they play. Are we enabling them to move up? What is the leadership pipeline of women in corporates? Are they asking for that? How can we support women in entrepreneurship? Do we appreciate the fact that their access to capital is less? And therefore, we need to support it for a while. So there are many, many things that I think during G20 Empower in India, we tried to create this holistic framework. And definitely, the reservation for women in leadership was a significant step. But there have been other multiple steps that India is taking to ensure that we enhance women's participation in the formal workforce. And please note, I'm saying formal workforce because we all know that women work approximately 2 hours extra every single day in unpaid labor. So I think it's not just one initiative, it's a comprehensive framework. It's setting a leadership dialogue, it's creating sustainable models, and it's pushing adequately in every sphere to ensure that these are adopted and proliferate across the globe.
This is so important. And I really want to touch upon something you said about Prime Minister Modi really pushing women-led development. And it's very important, Dr. Reddy, that we touch upon this because you as the chair for India Empower, which was a huge feat for all women because we are able to do what we are doing because of G20 India and the presidency and how they operated. And we believe instead of always saying women's empowerment, women are already so powerful. They don't need to be empowered. They just need to be given the space so they can step into their greatness. And like you said earlier, respect, being able to mutually respect each other. Dr. Reddy, what are some of the key values and principles that guide you both professionally and personally?
So, Shanali, I think that is the most important question that you've asked because it is who you are, what you hold dear. And that is really what reflects in the role you play, in what you project is important to the world. So I think at the core of my personal and my professional life, I think values and who you stand for is important. Being in healthcare and being from the kind of family background, for me, empathy is very critical. I believe that understanding and respecting the other person's view is vital. So the ability to put ourselves in their shoes enables us actually to be more effective leaders. I'll share, one thing which many people in my team kind of, I believe they share with each other, is that when, COVID struck and everybody was scared, worried, and, we as healthcare professionals can't stand back. I'm not a medical doctor myself, but we were asking our nurses and our doctors to go out there and expose themselves when they didn't know what's happening. And I had done this in AIDS when AIDS just began, and I did it again, is that I went in and visited the patients. I wore the mask. In the very beginning, we didn't even have PPE, but I wore the mask. I went in there and I stood next to the nurses and next to the doctors. And I think that ability to say that I am with you, I can do, whatever I can to help you. And after that, to spare no effort in making their lives easier or better and enabling them to do their roles. So we got them the best PPEs, the best masks. We thought through the work roles. We gave them accommodation. Ensured that they went home, once in 3 weeks after the incubation time. Then they had a week at home. and then they came back to work. So it's these kind of things that I think help you build an organization with the same kind of value system. I think that, and also it's a matter of a purity of intentions. So, what are you about? Why are you doing what you're doing? If you're doing it to genuinely impact the world, or if you're doing it for a series of other reasons which are short-lived, and so for me, I think those two are extremely critical, as well as, of course, integrity in being who you are, saying what you feel, because then that's sustainable. Posturing is not sustainable. Truly having a set of values, believing them, and living your life through that is not just sustainable, but it's satisfying, it's enduring, and conviction and purity lead to, or authenticity uh, gives you results because it's believable. So I think this is, important. But the final thing is, something which I said to a group of young women who asked me, is it wrong not to have a career and not to work? So I actually told them that it's not wrong at all, because everybody works, and taking care of a home, bringing up beautiful children with a good value system, caring for the elders is all work. And if you are blessed with the economic condition that you don't need to formally go outside and work, the only thing that I would say is unacceptable is that having those kind of advantages, we should take the trouble and care enough to work towards making the world a better place. So even if you're not going out into the formal workforce, are you building advocacy for female equality? Are you caring for the environment? Are you starting a movement towards garbage recycling? Are you thoughtful about your household health? Are you educating them on having a bank account or having a health checkup or doing, breast cancer screening? Does your maid know that she should have a mammogram? So these are, I think, the important values of just leave the world a better place and strive towards that. That's what you were brought into this world for.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was very insightful, Dr. Reddy. And I really love that you brought up certain qualities that actually is needed in benevolent leadership, which is empathy, integrity, purity of intention. These are very important qualities. And I'm learning from you as I'm asking you these questions for myself and many other young women. So thank you for sharing that. And also, that purity of intention, when you're talking about it, that will take you far. If you're doing the work you're doing for the right reasons, it will take you far. And also being there with each other. So thank you for sharing that, Dr. Reddy. Thank you so much, Dr. Reddy, for joining us and gracing us with your beauty and presence. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It was a pleasure, Shanali, and wishing you and everybody a very, very happy, healthy, prosperous future. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you. Today we have somebody very special. Rotary is a household name. Everybody knows, and it has been around for more than 100 years. Today we have Stephanie Urchick, an inspiring leader and the second ever female Rotary International president, bringing experience from impactful work, empowering communities around the world. Please welcome Rotary International President of 2024-25 to the second annual Digital Power of Women Conference.
Well, thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
You're the second ever female president at Rotary International, right after Jennifer Jones. How did you navigate Rotary, considering not too long ago women were not even allowed to be in the club?
Well, I think the way that I got to where I am is that I simply took the job that I had at the moment very seriously and did a good job with it. And I also have a mantra that I've had since I was a young woman, and that is that life is always more interesting and exciting on the other side of a yes. As long as it's moral and legal, say yes and then figure it out. You know, sometimes, especially women, get caught up in, am I good enough? Do I have enough time? Do I have enough money? I say, just say yes and then figure it out, because life then presents so many intriguing opportunities. So in Rotary, I just kept saying yes. And every position that I had, I just gave it my best. And that's how I'm sitting here before you today.
Wow. To see somebody like you, it's extremely inspiring because for us, there's a saying, when you see it, you can be it. So you're really setting up an example for so many millions of girls who never probably saw a Rotarian growing up, and now they're like, it's possible. And you talked about the magic of Rotary. You're bringing this very exciting feel to Rotary. Can you share a little bit about what you mean with the magic of Rotary, unlocking the power of women and girls with the magic of Rotary?
Yes, let me start, first of all, sharing with all of you how the magic of Rotary happened. Why is that our annual theme? Many years ago, I found myself in the Dominican Republic. I was with my Rotary district, and we were installing bio-water stand filters. So we were providing clean water in homes. So I was in a home that had 5 family members. There was a grandmother and a mother and 3 little boys. So my job was to put the filter together, show the family how to use it, how to clean it, and then the final test was to put dirty water in on one side and it would come out clean on the other. And then I'd put in dirty water and it would come out clean. And I'll never forget when I stopped, one of those little boys ran up and he tugged on my sleeve and he said, "Lady, show me that magic again." It dawned on me that the magic was not the water filter. The magic was what was going to happen to that family now that they had access to clean water. Those children could go back to school 5 days a week instead of sporadically because they were hunting for water. The women could look for employment and they didn't have to worry about walking around and looking for water. That's the magic. And as Rotarians and people of action, it dawns on me that everybody has been involved in something that creates magic, either in the community, around the globe, in ourselves, and especially for those of us working to empower young women and girls. There's magic in the work that we do to make their lives better. So that's what the magic is all about.
So when you talk about the power of women and girls in the future and unlocking that magic as we go, how do you see this playing a role in increasing more female members in the club, Stephanie?
Well, I think there is a huge push these days for cause-based action in Rotary clubs. We see many clubs that are forming around people who have interest in protecting the environment or people who have interest in water and sanitation. And there are many clubs that are particularly interested in empowering women and young girls. We even have a new Rotary Action Group that is forming for women and girls empowerment. And that's a result of an effort for the past 3 years. We've had a planning group looking at that. It was led by past Rotary International Director Elizabeth Yusevich, and it was very, very successful. And you know, the whole idea of empowering girls, it was given a name by past President Shekhar Mehta. Mm-hmm. The truth is, Rotarians have always been looking at how to make life better for young girls and boys. But he gave it a name. And the moment he gave it a name, he put it on our Rotary radar, so to speak. And so there's been incredible interest in continuing to do the things that Rotary clubs do to work to make life better for women. So I'm particularly happy that there is now a Rotary Action Group that will continue that move. And Rotary Action Groups exist to help clubs take a look at how they can use grant activity, global grants, district grants, other kinds of activities to do the work surrounding empowering women and girls. So we're very excited about that.
Wow, that's actually news to me as well. Stephanie, I have one more question for you in terms of Rotary's role in society. Rotary played a role in the formation of the United Nations. And now we are at a place where Commission on the Status of Women and the topic of women are very pertinent. And I really do believe Rotary has the opportunity to really create another pathway for women to actually come forward as well. What are your plans of working with the UN and utilizing the Beijing platform to really utilize the history of Rotary to push women forward and create another path for the rest of the world?
The Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action actually meshes brilliantly with Rotary's action plan, which talks about increasing our impact, expanding our reach, improving our engagement, and getting better at our adaptability. There is a complete mesh. Now, that Beijing platform was created in 1995. Women came into Rotary in 1989, so we were already part of the organization working on how to strengthen our presence. So there are many programs, projects, and interest groups who are forming around the same issues that are present in that declaration. Violence against women. We have huge interest in human trafficking programs, access to healthcare, to water, to education, basic education and literacy, water and sanitation, and disease prevention and treatment are three of our areas of focus. And so those things are really meshing together. Also, economic and community development. Many times it is focused on empowering women so that they can learn skills to provide for an income. And those two just mesh together so well that we will continue to take a look at how Rotary can enhance the Beijing platform while addressing our areas of focus and moving our efforts for empowering girls and women forward.
That is amazing. That's such good news to hear, Stephanie. And what is happening right now with Rotary is we see that it has opened up a lot more. I mean, we feel there's more we can do with Rotary now that the e-clubs have been introduced, which really allows you to connect with anybody from around the world. We are a part of an e-club, so all our members are from around the world.
Great.
And our conference is focused on three things, just like you mentioned, Stephanie: economic growth and bringing finances to women. Because when you give women money, simply put, actually everything gets better. When you give mothers money, the mothers make sure the kids are fed, everything is running smoothly. In the same way, the next thing is technology. How can we get more people into the digital economy? Because that's where the next growth phase is. And then, of course, climate action. When you're using the digital space, we have to think about clean energy and how do we power that space that connects everybody. And I think Rotary has taken that path, like you said, in the adaptability of having the e-club as a way of being a part of Rotary community. What do you have to say for anybody who wants to join Rotary? There are less barriers, definitely.
Definitely less barriers. And what I would suggest to people is instead of going to a Rotary Club meeting, ask to go to a Rotary project or to a Rotary social event. Because what you really want to do is to learn about what Rotary does and to see who these Rotary people are. So I would encourage people to get to see the service that Rotary does, to get to know who the people are in Rotary, and that can help you make a decision about which club is best for you. So, for instance, in an e-club, you don't have the physical opportunity, but you can visit many different e-clubs and get a flavor for the culture of what's happening. So it's important that as somebody looking to engage with Rotary, that you find the right club so that you can have that feeling of belonging.
Thank you so much. I think that's very important. And Stephanie, I have to ask you, you're such an inspiring figure. What are some values and principles that guide you in your leadership journey?
Well, certainly Rotary's core values are important. The first one, fellowship, that's actually why I joined Rotary. Much like Paul Harris, when he started Rotary in 1905, he didn't start it to do service. He started it to meet people. He was a young attorney and he was in a new town. He didn't know anybody. So he found three other gentlemen and said, every week we're going to go to each other. We'll go to your office one week and yours the next, and we're going to rotate, which is how we got our name. And service came almost 2 years later when the group decided to put in a public toilet system in the city of Chicago. For me, it was the same kind of thing. I had become divorced, and because I no longer had a partner, I had big blocks of time. And I thought, wow. So when somebody invited me to get involved in Rotary, I saw it as an opportunity for fellowship. So that has always been an important aspect for me. Leadership is also one of our core values. One of the things that I like to remind Rotarians and Rotaractors is that even if we don't have a title, there are times in our clubs where we become the leaders of something. It might be a social event, it might be a service project. So leadership is situational. It doesn't always mean that you need to have a title. The third value is integrity. This is paramount. It is for me, the most important quality. Diversity, to me, is key. When we have people who look the same, think the same, and are the same, we don't have different perspectives. So I frequently will say to Rotary clubs and Rotaract clubs, look at your community. If your club mirrors the community, you have a handle on the future. And if it doesn't, you have a great opportunity. So it is our diversity that makes us as strong as we are. You know, when women came into the organization in the late 80s, it brought a different perspective into the organization because men react to the world differently than women, and women think differently than men. Together, that blend gives us the best of both worlds. And the final one, service. Service is what keeps us in Rotary. You know, we come to Rotary for different reasons, but service is really what keeps us there. It's where we get the psychic income. That's our salary. We all get the same salary. It's that feeling, you know, when we do the things we do, it makes us feel good because we know that we're changing people's lives. So those are probably the 5, and there are core values that really make most sense for me.
These are absolutely important values. And what are some words of advice you would leave our viewers with, Stephanie? Some experience you have had that you could share? I mean, you shared a lot already. You gave so much great wisdom. But one story you would like to share about with young girls, especially?
Well, again, I would encourage all women to say yes to opportunities and not worry about how is it going to work and what's going to happen. You know, many times, especially women will say, how could I possibly fit this in? I'm so busy, I'm doing things. You know, we all have the same 24 hours, but we must make decisions about what's important. I remember when I was chosen to serve as a district governor in my Rotary district, I had to choose what were the things that I could continue to do and what were the things that maybe had to go to the side. So, you know, while I was a governor, I had a full-time job. I was working on my doctorate, and my mother was ill and I was taking care of her. So if you want the opportunity, you'll figure out how to make that happen. So I say, don't be afraid of it, embrace it.
That's so beautiful, Stephanie. Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and insight.
And I congratulate you on the wonderful work that you are doing.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.